Hey, you guys, I wanted to talk about this topic that I saw trending on Twitter where Black people are talking about they are exhausted and tired of the struggles they're facing in their concurrent lived experience in the United States of corruption. And I'm going to try and approach this topic from at least two different perspectives because I think hearing this expression warrants an open dialogue and discussion about the stagnant state Black people are in and what actions they're taking to help remedy the tyranny that plagues us. What I also plan on doing is reading through some of the posts that correspond to this topic because it is viral. I think there's over 4,000 posts in relation to this. So it'll give you guys some insight as to what everyone is talking about. Now, from what I gathered, everyone appears to be discussing the inequities that Black people are facing, and I can't tell if everyone was just purposely turning a blind eye to this because, again, it's not like this is anything new. In this current day and age, it's widely publicized, but these issues of immorality and unprincipled acts towards Black people have always been here since the inception of this country. It could also be a part of a grander scheme to assuage Black people's whims about having these allies that we think supposedly exist in other factions and groups of people by showcasing the typical symbolism that everyone knows Black people are the most susceptible to. If we as a community of people understood that allyship and alliances do not apply to us, I think we can maneuver with some level of aptitude in terms of our critical thinking skills. But because of psychological conditioning and the fact that we base our morals from the large society, we have unnatural and deviant expectations that we are deserving of support from other people by default. And when this assistance is not rendered to us, then we're left wondering why it seems we're by ourselves. I've stated in a few videos that the only race of people who appear to not have a clear understanding of race is Black people. Just the fact that you have the expectation that others need to recognize your disproportionate treatment is very telling because when other races or groups of people face disparagement, they're not instantly asking for allies and other races of people to stand with them. And even if they do, it isn't in the same format or capacity that our community expects. For example, when the Aurora, Colorado movie theater massacre happened or the Sandy Hook Elementary massacre happened, they weren't saying things like, where are our allies, or any rhetoric that paralleled that. So it does make you question why it is that you would hear this type of interaction from a group of people who historically have not had a genuine allegiance with other races of people. If you guys haven't already figured it out, the first perspective that I'm approaching this conversation from is the devil's advocate approach, and let me explain why. While I wholeheartedly understand that it is a tiring and debilitating circumstance of being exhausted in this country while being Black, it really does not make sense to complain if collectively your people are not doing anything to help reverse the situation. This isn't to try and discredit the individual Black people who are trying to influence some type of change, but for the collective Black community, there is nothing being done on a larger scale to alleviate the lived experience that we've been subject to for over 400 years. The conditions that our ancestors were forced to go through never really went away. Instead, the environment that exists for the new generation of Black people has now evolved in a way that those same conditions are now enforced in a subtle or not so subtle way. And I want you all to look at this picture. Notice the eerie and uncanny resemblance of this deputy badge and a badge during the era of slavery. I can't imagine the pain our ancestors endured if they were caught by the slave patrol. And just think, they didn't have the camera phones to record these beatings, if they even made it out of that situation alive. And then when you compare it to 2020 with George Floyd, there's really no difference. But again, what can you expect from a system that was orchestrated and constructed to ensure perpetual subjugation? I want to shift gears for a second and read some of the posts that I came across on Twitter so you guys can see what people are saying about this topic and talk about some of these statements. So, this first tweet is saying being Black in America means that you're constantly in danger of being killed by those who are supposed to protect and serve. I praise you for being so brave. Now, I went to this person's Twitter, and to me, it looks like a man from the larger society. So he's doing what his people typically do, which is to appeal to Black people from a point of symbolic arbitration. The unfortunate thing about this comment is so long as he maintains the illusion that he's standing in solidarity with Black people, we would give this man support, despite him not physically doing anything. If you need an explanation as to why I take this stance, please refer to the video I did about coalitions. I explain in greater detail why Black people should stop looking for others to establish an alliance with other cultures and groups of people. This is a personal belief that I have, and I do repeat, it is a personal belief, but I've always believed that the way Black people see the world varies immensely from the way other people see the world. We have two different perceptions of the way society operates and how we believe people should be treated. And one group is in a state of peril to simply exist while the other group watches the suffering while throwing intangible bursts of support to you, making them seem heroic and merciful in nature, when in fact their inability to provide sustenance makes them complicit in your agony. And I feel it necessary to break down what's hidden in between the lines to help our community comprehend better the reason as to why all of this perceived support really hasn't afforded you any reprieve in your consistent pain. It should make you indignant that people mock your community's struggles by indirectly professing these empty, false hearted messages of provision only to have nothing really change. This next tweet says, being black in America is being told you can't come inside of an establishment because you have an on sweatpants, but you can sit outside, and as you sit outside, you watch people walk smoothly inside with sweatpants and hats to the back. Don't support the Ashford and Jersey City, New Jersey. This post comes from a black man, and I did tell you guys earlier that I was going to be the devil's advocate in this situation, but only to prove a point. The larger society could care less about your attire, whether you're dressed in a nice suit or you are casually dressed down, because it doesn't matter about the clothes you wear. It's about your skin, and the way that the larger society sees black skin is the same way that a bull sees the color red. It causes fury, rage, and irritation, so much so that it will do whatever is necessary to neutralize a target. And these predominantly white establishments see black people as the color red, and some form of chemical imbalance, I assume, takes over where they react to your presence in an erratic manner by becoming irate and telling you that they will not help you or deny services to you because the amount of contempt that they harbor for you surpasses hatred of any other kind on this planet. And I also want to say this. Why would you want to frequent a restaurant that doesn't wish to conduct business with you? I see this from a point of desperation where we are seeking to beseech these people for services where the same would not apply if the situation were reversed. Plus, think about it like this. Even if you had a conniption and threw a tantrum and they allow you to come inside, who's to say they wouldn't do something to your food, making you become gravely sick or ill because you wanted so badly to eat in a restaurant where they clearly showed you how they felt about you? And I think we have a long way to go before we start having conversations about race that go beyond the surface. But at this rate, I don't even think we as black people are ready for those conversations because we'd have to come to terms of reality that I don't think we're ready to accept yet. The first conversation will be thoroughly unpleasant because you have to tell them that they have no friends in this world other than themselves. And I think if that occurred, some of our heads would explode violently. But moving on, this post comes from another black man and it says, I shouldn't have to worry about being black in America. I shouldn't have to worry if police are reaching for their gun when I walk by them. I shouldn't have to worry about black friends and my family making it home. I shouldn't have to constantly hope for a better world. I just wonder if our community pays attention to anything past or present when it comes to worrying about anything, or maybe it's because our lack of foresight that not only do we interpret situations accordingly as they happen to us, but we also don't take into consideration what events have befallen us in the past. Because if we did either of these two things, I can guarantee you we wouldn't be sitting here in this state of shock or disbelief that, oh my God, I'm a black person in America and these things shouldn't be happening to me. Reality check, it's been like this for several centuries, and the fact that we still express these dazed reactions concerns me. The last part where he says he shouldn't have to constantly hope for a better world, to me, hope is nothing more than a filler word. It does not offer any form of concreteness. The conditions of your community remain unchanged when you choose to relapse and beg for your freedom from a group of people that profit from your marginalization. And I need for us to get a grip and stop clinging to symbolism and words that do nothing but make you feel better. And then some of you will say, well, what are you doing to influence change? I shouldn't have to list an extensive itinerary of items to prove to you guys what I do behind the scenes. However, I will say this. I have given generously to black owned businesses. I sponsor these businesses when I get the chance to, and I have appeared on discussion panels to talk about our community's issues and propose solutions. And I've often wondered if our naivete towards valuing our culture and more importantly ourselves plays a role in why we appear to be in a regressive state, or maybe it could even be the larger society's presence in our daily environment that affects why we can't seem to think clearly as it pertains to refining some of the fractures of our people's psyche. But I'm going to read one more post before wrapping this up and giving a final analysis towards this being Black in America discussion. This post is from someone in a larger society, and it says, fellow whites, a thing we can do to try and be an ally is retweet Black people writing about existing while being Black in America right now instead of replying to them. No one actually needs to hear what we think right now, maybe ever on this. Thank you for coming to my XED talk. Again, this is something that easily goes over the heads of Black people because we get excited over the fact that someone other than us sees where we're coming from. However, this is another example of symbolism. This person didn't say, hey, you guys, let's go to our local city council or even federal institutions to demand that Black people be given fair wages or that Black people be given the same level of treatment in hospitals or medical facilities. This person didn't say Black people should always be given a fair trial with a jury of their peers if for some reason they end up in a court of law. This person said to be an ally, we should try and repost Black people writing about their experience in this tweet. What does that do? Somebody please tell me because I don't see how this does anything to directly benefit Black people except make them believe they have partnerships in other people. And my thing is, this person says no one needs to hear what they think, but here's what's ironic about that statement. Black people can talk all day about their occurrences living in this country, but it's not really taken seriously until the larger society comes along and gives validation to what we say. My solution to this is to ignore what they do or say. I just really don't understand our obsession with trying to have these people listen to us when they know better than we do how we are perceived in this country and globally, because this is something that's bigger than just America. Black people everywhere face some type of oppression. But I think to conclude and wrap up this video, we have to get a better understanding of the people that surround us and gain a thorough sense of self, who we are and who we were before the intrusive event that took place before Black people were stolen. Something I like to remind you guys of is to always make sure you're around those who value your Blackness and the betterment of your community. Superficial interactions and surface level conversations should not be taken at face value because it serves you no purpose if it isn't followed up with perceptible action. Your inequalities in any instance should never be encapsulated because what we face on a daily is real, and we are weaponized for existing in a system that has every intention to destroy any ounce at creating our own independence that doesn't involve them. Always question the motives of those that are seemingly there in your times of need, and even outside the realm of racial politics. You should still do this because it isn't conducive to the daily pressures of society that you already face. And these are just my thoughts on this topic. I think we really sound like a broken record when we talk about how tired we are, but we're not doing anything to try and change or improve the conditions of our community. So I say if you are tired, then devise plans and strategies so that you're not constantly subject to a cruel and harsh system on the regular. And quite frankly, I'm all about actions over words. So if you guys can please elaborate and provide some solutions, it would be much appreciated. But let me know what you think about this. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and share this video, and I'll see you in the next one.